Income inequality, an analysis of the racial wealth gap. People often associate the wealth gaps with classifications of merit or experience. Our mission today is to shed light on the racial divide of income equality in the United States. Let's begin with some important labor market statistics. In 2015, the U.S. Department of Labor released some astonishing numbers. The unemployment rate is defined most basically as the percentage of total labor force that is unemployed but actively seeking employment and willing to work. The economy has been improving. Nationally, unemployment is about 5.4, down from 10% in 2009. But for blacks and Hispanics, the unemployment rate is much higher. Unemployment amongst the Black American community was 9.2% during the third quarter of 2015, compared to only 4.4% of the white American community. Did you know that there are more than 102 million working-age Americans that do not have a job? This number sounds absolutely crazy, but it is true. Right now, there are more than 11 million Americans that are considered to be officially unemployed. There are then more than 91 million Americans that are not employed and that are considered to be not in the labor force. With all these Americans unemployed, what does that say about the median income in this country? Median income is the amount that divides the income distribution into two equal groups. Half having income above that amount and the half having income below that amount. This is different from mean income, which is the amount obtained by dividing the total aggregate income of a group by the number of units in that group. So now that you have a grasp of some labor market statistics, how does this prove an existence of a wealth gap? We have broken it down into three reasons due to time. However, there are many factors leading to income inequality. The first of the three potential sources of racial inequality is access to education. The next being workplace discrimination, especially racial discrimination. And the last being prior family wealth. We begin with access to education. In 2012, 16% of Black Americans graduated high school, and only 18% of Hispanic Americans, as opposed to their white counterparts, who graduated high school at a rate of 59%. The United States Bureau of Labor and Economics have released 2012 college enrollment data by race. 1.7 million Black Americans enrolled in college, 2.4 million Hispanic Americans, and a whopping 7.2 white Americans enrolled in college. A college education is a prerequisite to flourish in the labor market and establish financial stability and wealth. However, the gap in college attainment by whites compared to blacks and Hispanics has widened over the last decade. Statistically, there are significant variations in post-secondary attainment rates between races. White people are close to 3 times more likely to graduate with a university degree than someone of Hispanic or Black descent, and upon further inspection of this phenomenon, it is easy to see why. Disadvantages begin early on, but grow exponentially as students pass through secondary school and later post-secondary education. Black and Hispanic students are much more likely to struggle with finding suitable loans, balancing work and study, and seem to seek out less expensive and reputable schools. Perhaps the biggest disparity in regards to the education and race is seen in the future returns yielded from this post-secondary education. Black and Hispanic families can expect to make an additional $5,000 per year with the completion of a degree. A striking value when compared to the $55,000 per year that white families can be expected to add onto their earnings with a degree. The second factor of the racial wealth gap is workplace discrimination. Racial discrimination has serious consequences, including negatively impacting psychological and physical work outcomes. Here's an example of workplace discrimination. A young black man is in a customer service position and is denied promotion. When he asks for an explanation, he is told that his approach is too urban and wouldn't be a good fit with the existing client base. Most of the clients and other staff are white men over the age of 45. We can identify 3 reasons which allow for discrimination to occur in the workplace. The first being skills deficit. Due to lack of opportunity in minority communities and low-budget public schools in urban areas, professional skills will have developed at a slower rate. Second, institutionalized racism. A pattern of social institutions such as government organizations, schools, banks, and courts of law giving a negative treatment to a group of people. And lastly, individual racism. Failing to refuse or hire employees based on their race.
Because of our nation's past with race, for example, you don't see overt racial discrimination as much as you used to in the workplace, but you see so many different subtle forms of discrimination. And it makes our job a little tougher to have to prove that. But you know, just last week we were investigating a case where a person was actually assaulted because of his race on the job.
A recommended policy change would be something similar to the legislative movement based on the Equal Pay Act for gender. However, this one would apply to race. And last but not least, prior family wealth. Family wealth plays an important role in the success of students and young professionals. Students from high-income families leave college or university with lower than average debt levels, thus providing a financial advantage over the rest of the students. Students from low-income families come out with higher debt levels built from student loans and grants over the years. This diminishes their economic growth opportunities. Home ownership by race, with 74% of white people owning homes, 45% black families owning homes, and 47% of Hispanic families own homes. Now for some prior family wealth implications. Based on our research, compared to more affluent children, poor children scored lower on tests of cognitive skill in early childhood, have more behavior problems in school and at home, are more likely to drop out of high school, and those who do graduate are less likely to enroll in a college. These students are more likely to have children at a young age, thus more likely to be poor themselves when they are adults. To conclude, we will review the 3 main drivers of the racial wealth gap in the United States. The first being access to education, the second being workplace discrimination, and finally prior family wealth.